Welcome to Liquid Courage, the podcast where I, Amanda Pereira, sit down with a fellow artist that I admire and ask them the questions I've never had the guts to ask them before. Sounds scary? Yeah, it really is. So I use a little liquid courage in the form of my guest's favorite drink. We cheers, chat, and connect as I attempt to soak up all the wisdom they have to offer. Today I sit down with Clare McConnell and we sip on some bourbon together. Clare is an actor and comedian best known for her portrayal of Effie Newsome on CBC's Murdoch Mysteries and as Klingon Leader Dennas on Star Trek Discovery. You may also recognize Clare from shows like American Gods, Nurses, Hudson Rex, and Killjoys. This year, alongside the cast of Avocado Toast Season 2, Clare was nominated for Best Ensemble Cast in a Comedy at the Rio Web Festival. Clare also performed in Second City Toronto's touring company and is an alumni of the Second City Mainstage. So Clare is an actor, a comedian, and someone I admire immensely. Hi, Clare.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Now that we've chatted for a little bit, welcome. Anyway, I do have so I did not buy Jim Beam?
Yeah, I think
Jim Beam?
Jim Beam, you don't want to drink Jim Beam either. But
yeah, I went to the store. I was like, look for bourbon. No Jim Beam. And I saw him and I felt like he wanted me to buy him too.
Oh, Jim's a thirsty boy for a drink. Yeah. And I think like $27. So tempting.
But I didn't. What did I get? I got Maker's Mark.
Oh, nice. Love
yeah?
it. Yeah.
I love the blood. Like it looks like it's dripping blood. I just realized it's old-timey ink, isn't it? Oh my God. You know what? That's so fitting because we have a star of Murdoch Mysteries here with us today. So it's so fitting that it's dripping with ink. Oh, I really thought it was dripping with blood and it was on sale. And I was like, this is cosmic whatever coming together for me.
Doubly fitting because the wax is old-timey and the blood is also very Murdoch. So
very Murdoch. Well, and how do you like your bourbon? Do you like it neat?
I have a couple. Oh, they're gone. I had a couple of ice cubes in there, but my house is so toasty, so they've fully disappeared.
Okay, I have a couple little ice cubes in here too. I wasn't sure, so I was like, I like it with ice. And someone told me recently with scotch that you're supposed to put some water in and it like opens it up and lets it breathe.
Okay.
I know. I was like, you are so cool. So like, all right. So I felt like maybe my Maker's Mark was like suffocating and needed some oxygen, needed to breathe. So I put some ice in it too.
You reaching tears me because I feel like I keep going like this. And then... we do it. Cheers.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Oh God, I saved my first sip for you.
Me too. Oh, that's so sweet. I do feel like sometimes I'm holding my guests hostage. Like they don't know if they can drink it yet. And it's kind of like, hey, Amanda, like tell me when I can drink it and shut the fuck up so I can take a sip. Can I drink yet? That was really sweet.
It's a beautiful thing.
I haven't had
bourbon in months.
Well, thank you for like sharing some bourbon with me. Speaking of drinking bourbon, that's my first question. I drank the smallest amount and I just started staring into my glass. I had my glass so close as I was talking. I took I inhaled and I could smell it and I was like, oh, this smells amazing. And I got so distracted. Okay.
It's hot. But that's the thing. I think I don't know what your question was going to be. So very rude of me to just presume.
No, please.
But the smell is like the hottest person in the world. Like, it's like, have you ever felt guilty?
No.
Oh my God. Go to Shoppers right now. Shut down Zoom.
Goodbye.
So I think there are a bunch of versions of it. Just find the original and you will have an experience.
Oh, it smells like this?
To me, yeah. I've never smelled them next to each other because I don't usually have glass of bourbon with me in Shoppers Drug Mart.
Oh my God, that sounds like a party though. If they served alcohol in Shoppers. Hey, you need more Elf products. I will go. I'm gonna try. Oh, I'll spray it on one of those little piece of papers.
Yeah. Okay. Spray some bourbon.
Yeah.
Paper also, and bring it. And what your findings are.
Dip it in like a pea stick. Okay, I will. I'm gonna try that. What I was gonna ask you is, okay, so in my research about you, I heard you say something that I connected with so much that I don't hear people say very often.
No.
And you had said that during the pandemic is like kind of up until the pandemic, you weren't really into drinking alcohol that much. And then you were like, I got into it. But the reason that you weren't really into it is because you were really afraid of getting addicted to it. Like, even though it's not really in your family, like your parents, whatever. And and I could tell, like, you were kind of laughing about it, feeling like, oh, this is silly. And in my head, I wanted to yell, like, oh, Claire, that was, I mean, I was into drinking alcohol, but I always was so,
I was
felt
terrified.
like, but I was terrified with every single sip, but it didn't hold me back. But I was like, when I was younger, I thought, Amanda, you have an addictive personality, I think. And I would watch like Intervention and be like, that could be me one day, and so scared. So like, yeah, why were you so afraid of it? From a genuine place, why were you so afraid of it?
I think I was like quite a literal child, and even like the non-smoking. Did you ever have that giant inflatable cigarette that came to your school? And inside there was like, they had slices of tumors and stuff. And then there's that lady Barb Tarbox. Do you remember Barb Tarbox?
Wow.
Oh my God, this woman's actual like given name, and then she tragically got I think throat cancer, and she had her voice. But anyway, she was always the spokesperson because she spoke through the thing in her throat. And I was like, well, I will clearly never smoke a cigarette because I don't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, like Barb told me. And so I did it. But it was the same with alcohol, that they were like, alcohol, it's very addictive. And I said, okay.
Sure. Yeah, it is.
Like I really learned lessons, but then didn't learn that, you know, as an adult, you can kind of make your own rules a little.
Right. That there's like that it's kind of like a spectrum. Like it's not a hole you'll fall into.
Yeah. Like I was really afraid. I remember in the back of my like elementary school, they were like, careful, there are needles. They're like, it might be needles up on the top of the hill. There was like a forest in the back of my elementary school. So I was like, well, I better not go up there, because if I get poked by a needle, I'll be addicted to drugs. So I firmly skirted around addiction and just landed in like debilitating anxiety.
Well, I can understand. It sounds like a direct pathway. If they're like, avoid this could happen to you. If you have one cigarette, you will die. And it's like, of course, you're going to be anxious about everything and anything.
Yeah. I was like, sure, I believe you. I mean, like, bless Barb.
Bless Barb.
I have never had a cigarette in my entire life.
Me neither. Yes, I never meet people who've said that. And I always am like, is this my little secret? If people find out, that they'll think,
God,
what are they going to think of me? Hi. Yeah, I would have like, I would have dreams where I was never smoking a cigarette, but that I like woke up, I was like having a conversation with someone in my dream, and I knew that I was addicted to cigarettes. I hadn't smoked one, but like now I was addicted. Or like I had just murdered somebody, and those dreams were equal to me. Like, you've done something that now is going to follow you for the rest of your life, and you can never escape it.
Oh my God.
But I didn't have an interest. And then I found it annoying when all my friends would leave every 20 minutes to go smoke. And I'm like, why am I hanging out? Like, what's the point here?
When I worked in restaurants, I always was like, this is bullshit. You get to go and have a 10-minute break where you stand outside and you get to like feel your feelings for a second. Meanwhile, I have to say I'm going to the bathroom. Everyone thinks I have very intense gastrointestinal problems. Really, it's just because I need like a 10-minute time to breathe.
Yes, absolutely.
And I listen to Barb. So why am I being punished for that?
I know. Oof, that's still a thing. Still in therapy, I get mad at my therapist when she's like, but maybe the world isn't fair. And I'm like, close my laptop. Like, Zoom therapy over. How dare you say that to me? Like, I can't handle it.
Say that your therapist excuses herself to go have a smoke break.
I'm like, I shouldn't have to pay for that time. I'm like, what the hell's up with this? What if I need a breather?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I do hate that. I read somewhere, this was years ago, so it's probably not going to happen, but I read somewhere on like, I don't know, BlogTO, Narcity, whatever, that they're like, companies are going to pay non-smokers like more vacation pay or whatever to make up, or you have to work less or whatever to make up for all the time that smokers get to go out and smoke. And I'm like, cool. I don't need you to make it so they can't smoke. I would just like to be compensated for not smoking.
I feel like, were you also maybe the kind of kid, if the whole class got punished because someone was being a tool, like the level of injustice of like, we don't get to go to recess because whatever the hell they were up to that day. I really
100%.
felt that during COVID though, too. It like brought out that
Oh,
I want to go to recess because I've been wearing my mask and I got all my boosters.
oh my God. So hard. So hard. Where, and it like the feeling of injustice with also like the just having to live with the knowledge every day that people were suffering and it was avoidable, but other people were choosing not. Yeah. And it like, it really got in the way of some relationships with people. Because the whole thing of like, now the whole class is in trouble and this isn't fair. And this is like, why did you do that? All these things. Why weren't you thinking of others? Blah, blah. All of that's so real. And most of the time I can be like, okay, well, that one person, this is why, and like empathetically argue for them and get out of my like resentment and annoyance for them. But during COVID, it was real hard. I was like, I don't know. And also now I'm like, oh, now I'm doing more work. I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to stay inside. And I'm also going to empathize with them and argue them. What?
Yeah.
I'm having to do more work here. Yeah. Yeah.
Effort.
Yeah. It went into full overdrive. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, Claire, I'm going to ask you a bit about your career, if that's cool with you. Okay. I know. It's like, let's just, okay. If we have to. Okay, so you started out modeling as a teenager. And when I found out that you started out as a model, I was like, yeah, because like every photo that I see of you, you have such, I know you're going to hate all these compliments. And I realize I'm looking like up to the sky because I'm like, if I look at you, I'm going to see how uncomfortable you are and I'm not going to give you compliments.
What the hell?
You're like, but you're so at ease and so stunning. Just drink the bourbon. And so, but like, being in front of a moving camera, like for film and stuff, feels so different. I love it. Mm-hmm. Still camera, hit me with a bus. Hate it. I'm so uncomfortable. What's a helpful way of getting more comfortable posing in front of the camera?
This is not helpful actually, but can I give a fully unhelpful one, which is,
yeah. What's the least helpful?
Find photographers who you genuinely like, whose personalities you genuinely like. Because like there are so many photos from back in those days where I was being shot by like various like old weird men, like not, like legitimate photographers, but there are a lot of legitimate weird old men.
Yeah. Mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and to my eye anyway, like I don't look at ease there because there's something about like the person who is witnessing you and capturing moments of you living that, like, if it's done with tenderness, like my friend Christina Ruddick, who I now like, I just take pictures with her all the time. She is just a great person. And I love, like, we have a little chat and then we'll shoot a few frames and like she'll have music playing. If you ever are looking for a Toronto like portrait or headshot photographer, I don't like, there's no one better.
Well, that's so good to hear because I am scheduled to do my headshots with her in January.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you have the best time.
I'm such a fan of hers, like, and I have been for a while. And then I needed new ones, and I was just so hoping she had time to do it. So, but I've never met her, like, only just chatted over social media a little bit. So I'm so glad to hear that. And like, yeah, I can't wait.
And she really like, there were times in that industry where I really felt like I was trying to mimic something, which is part of your job. You know, you're supposed to like match other, especially for catalog stuff or whatever. You don't want to give them a brand new pose that no one's seen before. Like stand there. But like I'm finding I hadn't shot like much kind of model-y, portrait-y stuff in a long time, but then becoming friends with Christina and taking more pictures with her, I felt like I got to kind of reclaim the way that I wanted to be seen by a camera, because I felt like that was really, I was so young when I was 15 when I started modeling, and so much of it was just not on my terms. And there were definitely some like unsavory experiences, and it made me feel really tense in front of the camera. Even in front of like a film camera, I felt, I mean, not film, like, I mean, a movie camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like acting instead of modeling in front of a camera.
Yeah, like just sort of perceived in any way. It really affected I just felt like tense and often just like I must be doing something wrong. And Christina, I don't know if she knows this, but she's been a big part of helping me to find more ease in just being myself in those situations.
Oh my God, Christina.
Yeah, Christina,
I'm going to send her this. Oh my God. Did you like, then when you, because then you started, like you went to Ryerson or Toronto Metropolitan University, then Ryerson, or then called Ryerson, afterwards for acting, and then like got involved in on-camera acting. So coming into it with that sort of like, oh, I've had some unsavory situations and I don't feel totally autonomous or in control of how I get to be perceived or how I get to kind of like move through this experience. Yeah, what was it like then walking into these acting experiences? Did it feel like, okay, well, in acting, I'll get to do all the things I can't do in modeling? Or was it like, oh my God, this is going to be the same thing all over again?
I definitely, initially, I had a lot of hope that I would just sort of feel different.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, it's I don't believe this now. There is a lot of creativity and like emotional skill and physical skill that it takes to, you know, people who are top models for a reason, as well as genetics. Like Cara Delevingne is, you know, very talented in many ways and also just great face. I kind of felt like, well, acting is something that I'm not just going to like get sort of like, time will not make me kind of worse at it, which that felt really depressing about the modeling world. That if you kind of haven't hit a certain point by the time you're 22, that's about it. Like, really.
It's so wild because the emotional maturity of a 22-year-old, like it's so unfair. I'm watching this new like modeling reality competition show on Netflix called like Supermodel Me. It's as awful as it sounds.
Honestly.
But watching it and like growing up, I loved watching America's Next Top Model, but watching it now through the eyes of like I am now much older. Some of these girls are like 17, 18, 19, 20, and it's like, oh, she's old. She's older for this at 20. And I'm thinking, what? She is a baby. And they're like, you have to know who you are and how you come across. And I'm like, I don't know those things. How is this expected of like teenagers to do this?
And you're also being asked to give someone, usually in my case, I'd say comfortably like 90% of the photographers or creative directors who I got to work with were men. So you are being asked to show them a kind of woman that they want to see on camera, or that they like, their version of natural is like so far from the truth. And I think like when I did start to act more on camera and everything, unfortunately, like that followed. And I remember feeling really disappointed after like some of my first gigs when I was like, oh, that feeling was still there. Like my heart was going nuts, just like pounding, and I felt sweaty, and I felt really like just conscious of not being the right kind of woman somehow, and not knowing though like what that was, and that there must be some, even in acting classes that were all led by not all of them in theater school, but like the on-camera ones that I started taking were all like older men who are critiquing you based on like their dream woman from the 80s, who was written by a man. Like, and I felt like, oh, there's actually something missing in me. And I guess I don't know how to play this like strong female lead. I guess I just am not meant to do that. And it's only in the last few years that I've gotten to work with more people who I think have maybe a more three-dimensional sense of like what makes a great character, never mind whatever a strong female lead means.
Yeah, whatever exactly. Again, through just, I think, mostly male gaze, because I don't know, but I don't think many women are writing it and describing their lead characters as strong female leads. You know, I don't think that's what we're using as descriptors.
And so often, like you're being asked to authentically inhabit some like these. Oh God, what a wanky sentence. Here we go. Being asked to authentically inhabit a paradox. How is that?
I love it. I'm with you.
Yeah, I felt really good about it. Like where half of it is just kind of being a guy, like being, you know, representing a ton of male characteristics, and at the same time embodying like all this softness and sort of sex and virginity at the same time. Like
within that paradox feels very much like, it feels very constrictive. It feels very rigid of like, okay, she's supposed to be sexy, but don't be sexual. Like even some like voice acting auditions where it's like, okay, but bring out the sensuality of it, not the sexuality of it. And I'm like, what do you want that to mean? Like, you show me what you're saying in real, show me something.
Voice acting, I think, as a woman, in my experience, has been 99% like sound like you're about to have an orgasm. Like it's talk about the Tim Hortons summer menu and sound like it's like, oof, you're on the edge. And those are the ones that I get callbacks for, where I'm like, the new Tim Hortons, like it's so.
Oh God, Claire, you're so good at edging. Is this a new special skill? Should you add this? Oh my God, I'm loving this. It is actually, I find it really interesting with voice acting and actually in on-camera acting. You know how you said that when you were modeling, you had that kind of feeling like, oh, I'm not able to kind of just be like authentically free myself. Like I'm not in control here, sort of things. I'm putting so many words in your mouth. And then when you were looking to on-camera acting, you thought, okay, like I have the hope there. I felt a little similar with on-camera acting in terms of, I felt very limited to how other people perceive and experience my physical appearance. Like I just kept feeling like, oh man, but I am those things, but they don't see me that way. So I won't get to be that way. And I thought, oh, voice will be free. And then I get into voice acting. And I personally, I mean, I love it. I do feel some of that freedom for sure. But it's just interesting that like, oh, I fully underestimated that now it's just my voice is the thing that people are experiencing and imagining. Like, I don't know why I thought it would be so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of a mind fuck sometimes when you get enough feedback that you kind of get to see a warped version of like how other people perceive you. It is warped because it's in the industry, but it's kind of mind fucky. Yeah, for me it was.
To rather feel like what I'm unlearning now is whoa, cool throat bubble. I had a gym teacher who had a throat bubble the entire time I knew him for 4 years.
What do you think that means?
Mr. Jesse. It's just always like it was
like. Wait, his last name was Jesse?
Yeah.
What was his first name? Jesse?
I never knew. He never told us. Mystery.
I hope it was Jesse. Do you think?
Jesse.
Yeah, that's what I hope. I hope his parents were like, let's fuck it. Let's just do it. See what happens.
Fuck him over. Honestly, parents just doing it as a bit.
For his whole life. It's just a bit. And you're like, that's why you have a frog in your throat. Because you hate us. You hate us. Okay, well, let me ask you about working at Second City. You were in touring company and main stage and understudying main, just all the things. And this might be incorrect, so I want to check with you in my research. So when you went into it, I know you had a ton of experience in improv when you were auditioning for Second City. You've been doing improv for a long time.
Some experience.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I took one class. Like you did it in theater school. You did it in high school. Your first professional comedy show was with Colin Mockery when you were like teenager. Like you did some shit. You did some stuff. And I believe that you had mentioned that like the writing sketch part was newer to you, or like the writing comedy part. Yeah. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, what is the writing part scares me way more than the improv and the performing part of it. So like, what was the learning curve of that job like in the writing aspect?
Well, I feel like I couldn't have stumbled into a better building, like being more comfortable with improv, but wanting to write things, because that's that's literally their process. And they don't even like, I remember doing main stage that certain people who came from more of a writing background and really strong writers got frustrated sometimes because they're like, can I just bring in a sketch? Like, can we just do the thing I wrote and it's gonna get laughs? And sometimes, there was room for that, but for the most part, they're really faithful to the process that's built like so many really memorable, great shows, which I think is admirable. Like, it's the signature of that place, and it's a really scary and satisfying way to create.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I guess I like to, what I tell myself is like, okay, well, a lot of the things that they write start out as improv, so that's helpful. And what was your relationship to writing when you first started out in Tourco, or even on main stage? Like, were you like, let's just get at this shit and it's not tied to my own identity? Were you like, oh, I'm so insecure, I only want to share things that are funny? Where were you at?
Absolutely. Oh my God. I wish I could say like, yeah, it wouldn't have affected my ego at all if I didn't succeed. No, I was really nervous, and I remember a particular night, like I had written things for Tourco shows before, but like main stage, you're writing a fully original show. And I remember one night early in process, I took a scene out for a second run, and it had done pretty well the first time, and I went out and it just bombed. Like, it was like, not even, honestly, I will take crickets any day over a like that.
Oh, hurt my soul.
Or death to me. I'm like, please, like, just silence.
Just shut up. Yeah.
Circles all the way back around to being like some kind of delirious like thing, which I kind of can enjoy. But man, I went backstage and I just like, I crashed so hard and I was so upset with myself. And then the great thing and the hard thing about that gig is you're back in the next day and you're putting new stuff in the show, and you do an improv set after, no matter how you feel. And that really built I don't know, I hesitate to call it confidence. Maybe I will though. Like, just, I guess it like knowing that no matter what's going on, no matter how I feel before I'm about to perform, I can do my job. Like, and I really am like very grateful to that place for teaching me that, because it's like having a gig with that many, you're just doing rep after rep after rep. And one day you come in and you've gotten like terrible personal news, and another day like just bombed an audition that you really wanted or whatever. And it most of the time is completely irrelevant to how the show goes. And often, and this is where I can see how easily you could like slip into dependencies in this industry. The nights where I came in feeling kind of messed up and something was going on, I was like, I don't want to go out there and do this. Like, this is bullshit. Not the gig, but like something in my life that was happening, bugging me. And those were consistently the best shows. It was like kind of depressing, but at the same time, it was like, you never know what your superpower is, and what people, like we were saying before, like what people find interesting about you. Impossible to know that. And so it helped me to know that like even the things that I might think are like sad or sort of ugly that are going on inside, I'm not the one to judge whether that's like worthy of watching.
Yeah, and that I guess it can feel depressing, like, oh, can I only do my best shows when I'm personally suffering? And hopefully that's the others. I don't believe that. The other spin is that even when I'm falling apart, I can fucking nail a show. Like, that's what you have to take away from it.
And also that it helped me to sort of loosen the girdle as far as even like on camera performing. I used to be really diligent about like, I have to have done my warm up and I have to have like meditated in the morning and I've done all of these things so that I know that if things don't go well today, I have like no ammo against myself when I get home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And like, what's that? Like, that's spending so much energy to just not look at the real problem, which is like, why would I ever be shitty to myself after I've gone out there and I've done something like brave, no matter how. And I think like to go back to the Second City thing, like it helped me to loosen up a bit and not feel as like precious about my mood pre-performing, even if it was a high or a low. It's like, who knows? We're just going to go out there. And regardless, I'm going to do my best to be a good roommate to myself when I get home.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I think also it's such good, I mean, practice, and not to say that the Second City gig should be treated like practice, but if ideally you want to keep booking things and keep booking bigger things and keep taking on more ambitious goals that fulfill you, it's like, well, today is the best day to start practicing. Like, okay, I'm going to do my best. And some days I'm not going to be able to do my best. And if I go out there and fuck up, the last thing I'm going to do is then shame myself for it. I'm going to have my own back, be a good roommate to myself, like you said, because I can so relate to that. If I have something come up that's really important, especially work wise, it's like, okay, great, carve out the week before. And it's like, let's work my way back. Everything, groceries, make sure I have this. Okay, I have to cancel the personal plan. I'm going to have to put in, when do I need to be memorized by, so that then I can start. And it's like, great, if I book one thing a year, that's doable. Once you start having, you're going to have less time. And also it's so rigid, because it's like, you have to give yourself more credit that if one of those, if you can do all those things, great. If one of the Jenga blocks is out, like, you're going to be fine. You're not going to fall apart.
Absolutely. And if you find pleasure in those routines, and like some of them I do find pleasure in, but they're optional now.
Yeah.
And I do it for pleasure. I don't do it because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal. Like sometimes that fear slips in. Like I just did a gig recently that I was really, I like wanted to do I always want to do a great job, but like specifically, it felt like I felt really lucky to have this opportunity. And I noticed myself like slipping into that kind of like monkhood before, and going to bed like at weirdly early times and like drinking so much water. And I was like, okay, that's fine if if you're playing a monk, or B, if it's actually feeling fun. But it wasn't. It was feeling like, oh my God, I have to like I have to make sure that I don't give myself any weapons.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean that in the
metaphorical,
most
emotional, abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turned out, I mean, I still caught myself sort of compulsively doing that throughout the week a bit, but was able to know that I was doing it at least, I guess.
That's the win. See, like, it's meta, but even there, it's like, oh, I wanted to be able to conquer this perfectionism in a perfect way. And it's like, okay, you didn't get to conquer it 100%, but you attempted and you did it and you noticed it. Great. That's all you can expect of yourself. We got to give ourselves more pats on the back than like, it's so funny that you use the word weapon, because I would, I don't know why my therapist is coming up so much right now, but with my therapist, I kept mentioning like, I don't want to give myself any ammo. I don't want to give them ammo. And there was a certain point where she's like, can you explain what you mean by ammo? You keep saying ammo and like bullets. Like, what do you mean? And I had to be like, oh, this isn't just something everybody does. Okay, let me explain what I mean here. Like, yeah, just something I'm going to hold against myself and be like, look, you made that mistake and like this fell apart and it's because of you, and because of you and all the yous are me, you know. Yeah. It's like,
it's because of me, and I'm so sorry that I did that.
Claire, we've never hung out before, and all the mistakes that I made because I didn't meditate before all the things is because of you. And that's why I brought you here today. It's an intervention episode.
Oh no.
It's just all the things you hate. It's compliments. It's addiction. It's like all the biggest fears.
For my really been gatekeeping. I've been terrible. I'm so sorry to everyone I've hurt.
Just an hour of that. Well, with this kind of like coming into projects with that outlook or that pressure on yourself, I can't imagine what it was like then when you were walking onto set or like into work for Star Trek, because it's such like the whole Star Trek universe, everything is such a like an institution. Just that on itself, even if I had the most healthy, secure confidence, I would be shitting my pants. So like, what was it like for that first day, or just like going to work on Star Trek and trying to show up in a way that makes yourself proud, but not be perfect and shame yourself? Like, how do you do that?
I feel like looking back now, I guess I don't know how many years ago it was now, but it was the second gig I booked and the first TV gig I booked.
Whoa.
So I think I was in the early days of even understanding that like that kind of control and like the really intense sort of things. Like I didn't really even know what the root of that was. All I could tell myself at that time, I would be like, well, it means that I care, and like that's a good thing. Which is like the first level.
Yeah, which is true.
True.
However, it's like you go
for sure, but it's still justifying like
my
little bully.
Yeah, just like going into that job, how do you curve those nerves? How do you get on set and actually like say those lines? I don't know. Like I would, it's like the job you want so bad and then you get there. And I think it's very hard for your brain to catch up with reality. Like, oh, I'm actually here. I'm actually supposed to do this now. I'm on set. Oh my God, this looks like what it does on TV. Like, how the fuck am I going to do this? And it's your first on-camera job, your second professional job. That is a huge amount of pressure for you.
I was like, I didn't know what back to ones meant. Like, I remember learning on that, being like, oh, where's everyone going? All chatting after the scene. But like, I think something that was in my favor, which might not have seemed like it was at the time, but it was the fact that it was so intense on every front. Like, it's Star Trek, it's this institution, you're in full face prosthetics, which after a certain amount of time do become painful.
Of course, yeah.
I wasn't speaking English. I had to learn Klingon with a Klingon coach. And then when I finally got to set, they had these prosthetic these teeth, which they had made, which I still have. I took them to quote practice with, and then just never.
You're like, quote, go on dates with.
Yeah. Read expose. You read my police report. Like, when there's just so much stuff to contend with, it was like I didn't even have time. Like on the first thing that I shot, I was like, so many people are touching me. That was really what I was thinking about. And then I got super glued into my costume also by accident, which was kind of a blessing. Like I was brought to set, my boots were like really stiff, so I couldn't bend my knees. So I was sort of walking like a Lego. And then they were trying to fix my belt, and someone did this quick fix, and they were calling for me on set. And I tried to stand up straight, and we realized that she'd fully super glued my belt like to my skin, to like my upper torso. She's wonderful. We still chat. She's very cool.
Oh no.
Anyway, like I've learned, because there have been so many times since then when I've been at work and like there are just so many inputs. Like there's pain, there's the lines, there's like someone giving you blocking, and I'm like, great, perfect. I can't overthink this.
Yeah. It kind of forces you to be present. Like you kind of don't have it requires so much of your energy and attention that the energy that goes to like what you said, like your little bully inside, it kind of gets like robbed from the bully and paying attention to the super glue that's on your stomach. Like it's kind of just, you're right. It kind of is a bit of a blessing when you get thrown into those situations, like yeah. I also wonder, I guess this isn't exactly the same, but I wonder like when I'm acting as a character, like that also helps me get out of my own head of my own. My bully isn't often there when I'm a different character. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the character's bully. No, I don't create a bully for my characters. I'm not that. I mean, maybe one day. But so I guess when I'm a character, there's like a freedom from that a little bit of like, and so I wonder if being in the full face prosthetic and being like really visually transforming, and you don't even recognize, I mean, your face is not there anymore. You don't even recognize. Is there more of a sense of freedom in that? Like even more so, like I can just try new things, or like I don't have to worry about the things that I worry about as a person. Because not only are you playing a different character, but you also, there's no resemblance of Claire there at all, other than your voice, I guess.
Totally. In a way, it felt like doing improv, because have that total freedom of being like, sure, like I might not get cast as like 105-year-old wizard, but right now that's what the scene requires. Yeah. Play to the best of my ability. And yeah, there was such freedom, and I really loved like the process of getting it applied. I love to do more work like that. Because it's so liberating also to be like put in this monster gear. And I got my throat bubble back.
Oh my God, Jessie, get out of here.
Jessie, come on.
Jessie.
I haven't had bourbon in a while. We might.
Okay, hold on. Me neither. Okay, wait. We're gonna remember. What happened before Jessie? I got so excited about Jessie.
This was a deep pour, and I don't think I realized because the steak. That was a lot.
Okay. Oh, I do remember. Okay. You were saying there's such a freedom in being with the mask, and you would like to do more of it, and you loved getting the prosthetics being put on, like getting the makeup put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel this with almost every gig I've ever done, but looking back and watching, like when I was looking for something for my reel and that, and there isn't really, like, I really just popped in and said like 3 lines over the course of 3 episodes, but and very, very lucky to have gotten to do so. I really wish that I had given myself more freedom to just do the fun thing. I think that's been my like eternal lesson in when I do sift through old work, usually to find something for some kind of real, not just being a psycho. Like, I'm like, oh, I remember wanting to do something there and not doing it because I was afraid of like matching continuity or wasting a take, or man, it seems like everyone wants to go on, move on to the next scene. We've been here for a while. Like, I think there's an importance to like being aware of the people around you and when it's time to take a risk and maybe when it's time to just match when it's 3 a.m. and everyone wants to go home. But letting myself, I mean, giving myself one take to like do the thing I want to do. And if it's not great, okay. Like there are so many other takes that are unusable because there was a weird light or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can be the weird light.
Yeah. If they get one, you get one.
Yeah.
Totally. And I feel like so often I always fear regretting doing something, like making a choice, saying something, doing something. But when I really think back, and not just myself, like other people, so often it's more that you regret not doing something than doing something, or you regret it deeper. Like I regret deeper that I wanted to do something and I didn't versus I wanted to and I did it and then I regret it. Maybe I'm like, oh, was that too much? Oh, I'm embarrassed, but I'm not regretting it. I'm not feeling like I've betrayed myself and silenced myself and told myself you're stupid, we're not doing that, and like bullied myself,
You nailed it. That's exactly it. And I think like to like use that to zoom out also, anytime I've had to make a big like career or life decision, it's always like the answer has always been, what's the path where like I can't imagine what the next 5 years would be like if I did this part, or if I took this path. For like leaving theater school to go and do Second City. I was like, oh, I know what the next few years will be like if I stay in theater school, but I don't know. Following that little voice, even if things don't turn out like perfectly every time, or even if you do kind of give them a take that's unusable for whatever reason. It's not like I'd be like, I'm going to try a British accent for this take.
Right. No, you're not like ripping off the prosthetic and like burning it on fire. Like you're like, oh, maybe I'll say
shit, I should have done.
No, Claire, the institution would have been so mad.
Man.
But I mean, yeah, it's like, what are you? You're like, oh, I wish that I would have moved my hand this way and looked at him a little differently. Like when you really say it out loud, or if a friend said, I wanted to try this thing, you're not gonna be like, wow, are you crazy? That's out of left field. You would have been like, yeah, maybe that would have been interesting. Let's try,
Such a good chat with my friend Frankie the other day. Frankie Filiomeni, he's got an EP coming out very soon. He's very but he and I were talking about our dreams, and I was like, okay, we were just on a walk, and I was like, tell me like one of your wildest career dreams. And he did. And I was like, that's gonna happen like next year. Like just like in a being a good friend way. Like I was like, that's the biggest one. Like, what do you mean? And then he was
bigger, Frankie.
Like, your turn. And then I told him one of mine, and he was like, well, duh. Like we both kind of, it's like that when you say out loud what you wanted to do in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of raised my voice when I said that line. Like, yeah, maybe you should have, because that was what was in your gut. Like,
it wasn't that big of a swing. It really was. It was, yeah. For me, like saying it out loud to somebody, to myself, or writing it down, because I find when it's in the echo chamber of just my brain, it seems so much crazier or so much bigger, so much out of reach. And if I just write it down, or if I say it to somebody, yeah, that reaction like you and Frankie had to each other of like, wait, but that's it? Like, dream a little bigger. Like, go further. What happens when you get that? You have nothing else? Like,
whoa. Yeah. Loser, dream bigger.
Dream bigger, loser. God, you're already so accomplished. That's so within your grasp. Yeah. I want to say grasp and reach. That was what happened there. Grasp. It's interesting that you say this though, because when I was researching you, I was kind of blown away by your ability to like listen to that little voice and just take risks. I know, just put the cup in front of your face and hide. But truly, like leaving school early, like after only 2 years to go to Second City, leaving Second City, like making these choices where some people might, someone like me might stay at Second City till they're like, we're getting a restraining order, get out. Or like, you know what I mean? Or even like I learned that at 18 you did a solo trip to Europe. Like how you're just where is this like boldness? Where is this confidence? Where does that come from in you? That's just like, I want to do this thing and I believe that therefore I can do it. Or at least I'm going to go after it.
I think like what you're saying earlier, like I'm so afraid of regretting anything. And it feels, I don't know, not to get like too dark, but I feel like I've had a lot of reminders quite early in my life that you have no idea how much time you're gonna get. Is like, I don't know, what am I saying? Like live every day to its full. I'm genuinely very, very lucky I'm here. And I think I try when I can to let that guide my decisions.
I think that's a healthy use of fear. You know how we're like, oh, we're so afraid that we're going to have ammo against ourselves. I also think like stress. I'm a little bit of a math girl. Like on a bell curve, it's like, if you don't have enough, you're not going to do anything. If you have too much, you're going to be fucked. But right in the middle, a little bit of stress is good. A little bit of fear is good. Yeah.
Oh, I never took math.
You know what I just realized? I don't think that is a bell curve. No. Wait. Performance would be horrible. Oh, no, it is. If it's a graph of performance and stress. Okay, listeners. Performance is going to be on the y-axis, which is the vertical one. And then stress level, I don't know which is which, but basically picture a bell. It's an upside down U. Yeah. I'm picturing that bell. And like at the bottom where the tip, or on the left side when the tip is at the bottom, I can't even talk. I've had a little bit of bourbon. Then like your performance is low. Your performance sucks because you have too much stress. But then your performance gets better. I am doubting myself so hard. But I do know. Listen, shut up with the graph. There's no more graph. There's no bell.
The graph. Okay. Just so to learn.
Okay. And I want to teach you so hard. Like I want to be Mr. Jesse. And I'm just like, am I saying this right? I literally can hear my partner who has had no bourbon. And I'm almost like, is this a bell curve? Okay. Performance is low when stress is low. Okay. Yeah. If you have no stress. Oh, yeah. If you have no stress at the beginning, then your performance is low and it sucks. As stress increases, you go up the bell, your performance gets better. But then once the stress gets even more, we're on the x-axis, keep going to the right, then your performance is going to go down. Why is my bell curve like I'm giving a hand job? It's a little girthy and I'm drawing it like with a big marker.
You're just like edging it. You haven't gotten near the,
No, I'm metaphorically edging around my face and we're not, okay.
You better not, especially if you're doing voice, you gotta, that's what we've learned.
That's what we've learned. It's all in a bell curve. Basically, I think that is a healthy version of fear because I think like, hey, I know I want to do this thing and I don't want to regret it or regret not doing it, I think is like a healthy version of it is what I'm trying to say.
Definitely. I think I wouldn't have known what you meant unless
you had this whole situation.
Yeah.
Oh God.
to try with a partner at some point. So that's really exciting. Just sort of circle your head with it.
It's kind of. I used to tutor math. Not anymore. I haven't been. It's been a while. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I would love to do some to end our time together just for our first date. I know. I'm a stickler. Listen, when I tell somebody an out time, I'm respecting it. So your face, you're like, meh. Well, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. I call them rapid fire, and it's like, take as much time as you want, Claire.
Should I slam the rest of this? I like never.
Yeah. You never what?
Like party enough in my life. I always forget to party.
Oh my God, like kind of me too.
Yeah, okay, we're slamming it for rapid fire.
Okay, slamming it for rapid fire. Oh, wow. My mouth is on fire. Look at my lips. Oh no, that was a regret. That was because I was like, my lips look so weird on camera. And then I like dotted on some lipstick and was like, I regret this. And then just like rubbed it off beforehand. Anyway.
Perfect. It's a perfect tint.
I also didn't need to tell you any of that.
What?
It's just the eraser.
I'm wondering. Yeah, okay, that's the social eraser.
That didn't happen. Okay, none of that happened.
Social eraser.
Yeah.
That would be the superpower I would want, is that I could just take back the last thing I just said.
Yeah. Oh, Claire, do you know how many hours I've edited myself fucking talking on this thing? I would love that superpower to most things. Actually, last time I saw you, which was at the Avocado Toast season 2 premiere, and I would like to erase my entire conversation with Nilu Handa. I would like to erase all of my conversations with Nilu. I think Nilu is so wonderful, and I'm always a fucking weirdo in front. I can't. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Sure, Nilu loves you.
She's lovely. Oh, I don't know if she loves me. She's lovely though. She's been nothing but kind and wonderful and generous to me. But I don't know what it is. I think she's so cool. I constantly, you know, when you float above your body, I've never had a conversation with her where I'm in my body. I'm always floating above, being like, shut up. Just walk away. Like, it's over. It's okay. You don't have to keep it going. And I do.
That voice, that I catch myself doing in those situations is I end up something I'm trying to work on is like not being like, here's everything that ever happened to me that was or sad. Like whenever I want you, it's something like I want to create a bond. It's always with someone who I like deeply respect. And then I'm like, I want you to know that you're safe with me. So here's like everything weird I've ever thought or anything sad that I've ever
like to give them permission to show up as their full self.
Yeah.
I
feel like I'm going to realize in a few years that's not what it's about, but
no, I feel you. Actually, after the premiere with Susan, it's like all coming full circle. With Susan Wasick, went to Comedy Bar, ran into you at Comedy Bar. You had that gorgeous blazer that I have since bought a copy of, and I think of you every time. It's not as cool, and it's not like a cool vintage one, but I think of you like every time I wear it, which is maybe so weird, but I do. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I run into Claire today.
Those are my dad's in the 80s, so
it's
Clare McConnell for that one.
Full credit. It's so, I loved it. And that was a conversation where during I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Claire. Like, this is so great. And truly, and I was like, okay, I actively, because it was right after the Nilu interaction, which like to everyone else watching, it was just a normal interaction, small talk and like lovely, whatever it left. To me, I was like, why did you do that every time? And then at Comedy Bar, I was like, okay, Amanda, you're going to learn from this. So we're going to have this conversation with Claire, and good job. You're being yourself. You're not being too much. You don't need to compensate. And then just know when it's over and let her leave. Don't loop her in. And
I came up to you. I wanted to talk to you.
Okay, but we're all a little delusional. And so I didn't clock that. That's very cute. Oh, that's cute. You want to talk to me? Okay. No, I backed the bourbon and now I'm realizing I'm going to get too sentimental. I'm going to be like, oh.
Yeah, not rapid fire. We do.
God, rapid fire. Okay, rapid fire. We're back. And we're back. Okay.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Full battery. Wait, rapid fire. I'm going to get my charger.
Rapid fire, get your charger. That's the first one. See how fast you can get your charger.
Here we go.
Oh, you nailed it. Rapid fire number 1, complete. Oh, take a breather. Okay. Rapid fire number 1. Do. It's like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Do you prefer improv auditions or scripted auditions? What do you feel more comfortable?
For an audition, scripted.
Scripted. Love it. Okay. In 2019, you were on Family Feud Canada with the cast of Murdoch Mysteries, and you got to compete in the lightning round. And when you were asked, name a word to describe cold weather, you said, bad. So Claire, 3 years later, name a word to describe cold weather.
I'm so sorry to my whole country for letting you guys down. And fridges.
That's perfect.
I've really replayed that moment so many times in my head, and frigid would have been the thing in that moment. Is all I could think was shitty, and I was like, don't say shitty in CBC.
Yeah.
And that's,
you know what though? Like, spoiler alert, you guys got it.
we really did.
So who cares? And you created a wonderful moment of entertainment.
Yeah.
So couldn't have written it better. I'm glad you said bad instead of frigid. Truly. So, and yeah, ding, 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 frigid. It was the number 1 answer. Welcome. You love old abandoned buildings. What is your favorite abandoned building around the world?
All around the whole world?
Or your neighborhood, whatever's easier. Like whatever you want.
I have a very fond memory of the summer that I discovered the old log ride at Ontario Place and started climbing around in there. It's so fun. If you haven't been, go before they turn it into a very scary, like, White Lotus spa, which is apparently John Tory's plan.
Right. I just finished the season finale today. Also, of that. Do you watch that show?
I haven't seen this season yet.
Great. Leave them know. Oh, I know. Listen, there's so much. I hate how I sound right now, and I don't care. It's a true statement. There's so much good TV these days. I can't keep up. That's how I truly feel, though.
So much.
There's so much fabulous television programs that it's okay. It's not, yeah. And I mean, I prioritize all the reality TV. So what am I going to do with my life? I mean, myself. What am I going to do with my life? Okay. On Star Trek Discovery, you played a Klingon. Do you remember any Klingon that you could share with us?
Shut up! That
was so cool. What does that mean? Do you know what it means?
I think that one was like, oh God, I'm gonna get, the Klingons are gonna be so mad at me.
No.
I'm sorry. I think it's something about, like, you will fail in battle.
Oh, you remembered a fear-based one.
Class.
Classic Clark McDonald. Okay, love. Okay. Okay, this is a little wordy one. When being interviewed about your nomination for Breakout Artist in 2018 at the Canadian Comedy Awards, I know you hate that I'm mentioning this, you shared, though, how it felt nice to be nominated because it's rare in the industry to get, like, any indication that you're doing a good job. So it's nice to be like, oh, you're doing a good job. And often you have to create those reminders for yourself. So when you're feeling discouraged or shitty in your career, what do you do to help yourself get unstuck and keep going and be like, Claire, you are doing a good job?
I make something that brings delight to me, and I make it for like, I make these shorts for that I put on Instagram sometimes, but that is just a byproduct of, like, that's making something with no one else's taste in mind but my own. And then sometimes, like, I was making them even, not to brag, but I was off them for about 1.5 years. That time I was making them too and not showing them to anyone. I mean, like, who cares? But make something that is completely like for me, and then having people like positively respond to it is the most creatively satisfying thing that I feel like I get to do.
Wow, you saying that made me realize I don't know the last time that I created something with only my taste in mind.
It's hard to do. Like I
Yeah.
still even making those being like, oh, I don't know. I like imagining a certain person watching it and being like, would they think it's funny? And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, but like what an amazing goal of I'm only like in making the actual thing. It's only my taste that matters. And as long as I think this is funny or I think this is heartwarming or I think this is whatever, that's it. That's the whole journey here is it's all for me. And then if you post it and you share it and people like it, great. Maybe you don't even post it. Maybe you whatever. But ooh, thank you for that, Claire. That hit me.
Like also making things that you don't like need your group of like whoever follows you or your peers, or like just making something and leaving it alone.
Yeah.
Letting it be complete.
I love the things you've created. When I was researching you, I was showing them all your impressions of everybody being late to lunch, or you being late to lunch for all the celebrities. So good. I mean, all of anyway, or yes, or like, I know you hate this. Okay. All the self-taping during the pandemic, all of it. You know what? It's fine. This is on recording, so you can listen back and then you can absorb the compliments in your own time. Okay. I think you're wonderful. Maybe when I send you I'll send you a special version of the episode. And in the end, it's just me going, hi, Claire. I think you're great. And it's just all of those. Yeah. Okay. So how I like to end off the episodes is I'm trying to get better at asking for what I want and like putting it out there. For so long, I'm like, well, people will just know and they'll just read my mind and I don't want to ask and I feel icky. And then you feel bummed when no one's asking and you're like, well, they don't know you want to be asked. Okay, so I like to end it by asking my guest, what is something that you would want to put out in the universe, you'd want to manifest to try and make happen? Maybe there's something that you want and someone listening could give it to you. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be whatever. What's something you'd like to do more of or try? Or
I want to play a monster in a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Yes. Oh,
yeah, that's just a career bucket list thing.
Oh my God, I love that. See, that is the specific. Frankie would be proud of that goal.
Yeah.
It's specific, it's ambitious, it's like perfect. That is, I love that. I love that. And didn't you work with I'm forgetting their name now on Star Trek Discovery? They played like the monster from Shape of Water.
Yeah, we didn't do scenes together, but we got to hang out a few times, and like he's so funny because he's like terrifying in costume, and he has huge lifts. Like he has these hooves that are also like 8-inch heels, and he's walking towards me, and I was so intimidated. Like, you're just like me. Like he's not the softest, sweetest man. I would love to do something with the two of them. Why don't I put that out there?
Yeah, great. Dream bigger, Claire. Add him in there. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting with me tonight and sharing your love of bourbon with me. It was so nice to get to know you, and I can't wait for our second date.
Me too. Thank you for like having this little party with me. I feel like so lucky to have been one of your esteemed guests.
Oh my God. Well, Claire, when I saw you, however, long ago, when I was working casting, and I think you came in to work as a reader and I remember mentioning that I wanted to do this podcast. This was before COVID. And I remember chatting with you, being like, I really want to do it. And I left our conversation feeling, first of all, you were so present. I was like, wow, I really felt like she wanted to hear me and I felt like connected. And I walked away feeling really inspired. Like you were there was a few people that I've talked about this project with that I really reflected back on afterwards when I was like, I don't know if I should do it. I don't know. And so that was one of the conversations that was like, no, this was some fuel helping to push me in. So you were always a guest that I would love to have. And now you're my finale episode for season 3.
Oh my God. Congratulations. Well, and also you were saying earlier, like, I don't know when the last time that I made a thing that's like to my taste, but like this was a dream of yours and you've made it come true and it's like hugely successful. So
wow.
Congratulations.
I just want to put a cup in front of my face. Thank you. You're right. This is to my taste. You're right. And I feel very protective of it. I'm like, only yeah, you're right. It's hard to make those things. And I'm saying it while I'm in one of them. So you're right. Thank you for that reminder. When was the last time I made something that I just loved? It was just like for me and my heart. Ugh, this isn't it. Ew. God. Oh my God. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Liquid Courage podcast. If you liked what you saw and you're looking to support the show, here's a few ways you can help. You can leave the show a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, or you can follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at Liquid Courage Podcast. Or, and best of all, you can tell a friend about the show. Tell a family member, tell a coworker, post about your favorite episode online. Spread the word. That really is the best way to help support the show and help it grow. Did I just rhyme? Okay, until the next episode, cheers!